keep striving for this religion that we preach. Keep pushing for nothing's ever out of reach. Because the time we keep on driving, it's all that much we go. The time we keep on fighting, and these colors I wear will be sold through the skins of my soul.
And welcome to an absolute rarity, in addition to the Luton Town News podcast, actually following the 3 points, which are the first time since before Christmas. We didn't bother recording after that one. So,
well, we did say we wouldn't record until another win. So,
yeah, I was expecting that to come in about sort of November or something next year.
League One. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to touch too much on the Scum game, but I am going to mention the one incident, which was a penalty. Now, some were saying it was, some wasn't. Obviously, Gary Sweet came out in his programme note, said, right, every single source through the PMGL said it's not a penalty, and I think there's enough in that. It's not. He does get the ball. I mean, it's the defending coming up was absolutely fucking shocking, and it should never have come to that. But it was for a referee then to give a penalty where the ball's changed direction like that in a local derby. What the fuck was he thinking?
So my initial reaction was it was a penalty, just because Kaminsky completely bowls into him. Watched it a couple of times since. I'm sadistic. What can I say? And yeah, I still think it's a penalty, but I think it's a very, very, very soft penalty. It's one of them ones where given against you, you sit there and go, never a fucking penalty. Given for you, you're like, Stonewall penalty, you know?
I mean, I think the thing I look at, right, does VAR overrule it as a penalty? I think it does.
I don't think it does. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought too. I don't think it does.
Does VAR give it as a penalty?
No, but it doesn't overrule it as a penalty either. It's one of them VAR calls where if it's given, whatever way it's given on the field, that's the way it's going to come out. You know what I mean? If it's not given, they're not going to look back at it and go, yeah, no, that's a penalty. If it is given, they're not going to look back at it and go, no, it's not a penalty.
But I think very sort of, you get the analyst shows everything. PNGL, I think Gary Sweet's notes, he said, right, everyone has confirmed that should not have been a penalty.
I think Gary Sweet's trying to distract the attention. Let's just say he's trying to get the attention on other things because, I mean...
Oh, no, because he went on and he kind of quite blatantly put his hand up after that one. So I don't think that distracts the attention. I think that was just a kind of minor point. Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to dwell too much in the Scum game because...
No, it wasn't great. I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning for that. It was fucking horrible.
Well, I saw the lineup. I knew it was going to be horrible.
Yeah, I can only assume we had injuries, right?
Yeah.
Because most of the players that you would have wanted playing Naismith and McGuinness, they were back for the next game, right? And Naismith at least was.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of sitting there going, what happened?
It was injuries. I think it sort of says it was Naismith you've got to manage slightly. So you don't want him breaking down. Was that one? I think he had a tight hamstring. McGuinness was obviously hobbling the previous game, and then he sort of came and got injured again. But anyway, on to the Portsmouth game. Now, the big talking point, should Johnny Westwood have been let into the ground?
Who the fuck's Johnny Westwood?
Oh, you don't. No.
You're going to have to explain this. Am I going to have... Is this one of these people where I'm going to have to start their Wikipedia page?
I don't know if he's got one or something, but he's a rather notorious Portsmouth fan. He's got a bell. He's covered in tattoos. Apparently, you don't want to be within about 20 feet of him if your nose works.
I have no idea who you're talking about.
Just put Westwood Portsmouth FC.
Yeah, I am going to have to start his Wikipedia page. Thanks, Nick. Something for me to do later on.
Oh, no, please get enough publicity. No, I mean, I think the clip emerged. He turned up in clown shoes. I mean, they were actually clown shoes. And the steward said, could you take them off because they could be sort of, because they could be hiding anything there. And he just started swearing away at them, said, you're having a fucking giraffe, etc., etc. It's surprising enough he didn't get allowed in.
He actually does have a Wikipedia page. John Portsmouth Football Club, Westwood.
That's the one. Yes,
That is a hell of a Wikipedia page.
he changed his name by default.
Oh, he's one of them cunts.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I can't say I know him. I can't say I'm aware of who he is, but should he have been allowed on the ground? Oh, fucking why not? We beat them. It would have been one more person to piss off, right?
Yeah, you need to disinfect after that. I mean, the game itself, I actually went to it and I thought, right, for some bizarre reason, I thought, why the hell am I actually going to this game? Why am I going to spend all day sort of, traveling and everything else? About 100 quid sort of, cost me sort of a typical match day, all in all, to go to, and we've been playing that shit. And I thought, well, what else am I doing on Saturday? So I thought, well, I'll go down there. But yeah, the game itself, I said, first half, we looked a bit brighter, but it's sort of, obviously Jordan Clark got the goal. I've got to say, let's talk about the goal first of all. I mean, Jordan Clark, you looked at him on the team sheet, and it's, I think there are a few groans. Do you think with the camera out, you're thinking the obvious one to come in would have been sort of, what's it, Fanny?
If he's not injured, right?
Yeah.
Didn't he hobble off in a couple of games ago? Yeah. But here's the thing, the goal, like, I like, that's something that we've seen all season, but it's from the opposition that we've normally seen it, where they just pick up the ball and run straight through our midfield. And I get it's a counter-attack, comes from their corner, I get that. But Clark just picks up the ball and just runs,
gives it, and then he's in the right place when it's the defender puts it into his own post. So
yeah, like it's just one of them goals where there's no midfielder whatsoever to stop him, and it's something that we've become too accustomed to this season. Obviously, with us being the midfield that people are running through. But yeah, Clark was there in the right place to put the ball home. But like, I don't know how it was for you on the ground, but it was a very, very, very poor game to watch.
It was worse than that.
Yeah, and I that's why I was wondering, because it, like, we won, and thank fuck we won, but there was nothing. It was just like, from either side.
No. And the referee was, the referee has been getting absolute pelters from both sets of fans, and quite rightly so as well.
Absolutely terrible. Yeah, worst referee I've seen this season so far. And that's saying a lot.
Yeah, and I think a lot of Luton fans are saying the same thing. A lot of Portsmouth fans have said the same thing as well. And they said, onto that one, he was absolutely clueless.
Yeah, it wasn't.
He was equally clueless. I give him that, but
he was. Yeah, it wasn't like he was like boyishly clueless. Like he was bad. It wasn't a great performance. It wasn't a good day for the referee association. That's what I'm sure. But yeah, it was just like, it was a poor game. Near the end, it was. I was terrified that Kaminsky was going to get sent off for time wasting, get a second yellow. And then
I think I was more worried about the fact that, well, anyway, so first half, I mean, we'll go first, sort of, vaguely chronological.
Yeah.
First half, I think, okay, we went in with the lead, which I think we deserved. We didn't create this great, we created not much on goal, but we actually created more on goal than Portsmouth did, the other end. So, I mean, we were in control. The second half, we sat back way too deep. And I said to Stu, I do not like this, because we were actually sitting back and saying, yeah, come and attack. We're not going to take too many chances to go forward. Yeah. Come and attack us. And it was, Portsmouth luckily were completely woeful.
Do you think that was a tactic, though, or do you think that's just the fear setting into the players of, we need this win so badly that they just keep dropping deeper and deeper and deeper?
I think it's probably the fear setting to the players, they're dropping deeper and deeper. But when you're watching it, you're sort of clinging on to one goal lead, because the way it's gone this season, you think, right, this could go sort of horribly wrong. What I would say, though, dropping deeper, we had sort of Naismith shows, obviously, why you need him in the team. And he's, he is a class above, even though he almost gave a penalty. He's calm, so, getting his ball out. And Christ Makoko came on at half time against the Scum, and then sort of starts the game there. He just looked so calm, composed, and he had the pace to go with it.
Yeah. I thought he was our best player. He just, like, And it's weird because when he came in, everyone they were kind of like, "Oh, we want for the future." I'm like, I'm sorry, he's better than half our centre halves right now, based on the limited amount of time we've seen him, obviously. But given who
And
we
yeah,
have
I think
fit
there's going to be
in
games
defence,
he's going to come in and he's going to get caught short out, which is why he needs people to talk to him, especially settling into a new country. And I think it was, I mean, you think, okay, one for the future, £2 million. That's quite one for the future, but I think that's why they held him back and said, right, we're going to make sure the time is right and we think when he's ready to come in and subdue it. And I think on the basis of what we've seen in the game and a half so far, we probably got the time right. Now, he's not going to play every game between now and the end of the season because he is 20 and a basic, he will have a bad game there. And I think sometimes you might need to take him out the firing line if you have other people available. Have the other person, Matt Anderson or Walters, maybe not.
Matt Anderson didn't cover himself in glory against the Scum, did he?
No,
not at all. And I'm nothing against Anderson. Like I think he's a decent defender, especially in the air. I think he gives us something. But it was definitely, I don't know whether it was something that he just got caught out of position or they wanted to do, but him on that right side of a back three is not it. Like he needs to be the center of the three. To me, anyway, if he is going to play, he needs to be the center.
I think it may have been a late change with the injury.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the Portsmouth game was a hard watch. I think you're right. I think we probably over the whole of the game probably deserved to squeeze out the winner, but the second half was far too nervous watching.
Especially when they had a free header, sort of,
Yes, that header, I don't know how he missed that, dude. I really don't. Like,
he's been taking tips from Elijah.
He's in the perfect position. He somehow gets up pretty much unmarked. All he has to do is get that on target, and Kaminsky doesn't have a chance, really, when you think about it. And I was just like, yeah, it was, especially the last 10 minutes or so, and it's PTSD, you know, it's because of the whole season that we've had. The last 10 minutes, like, I don't think I could sit still. It was one of them games where I was just kind of like, please, for the love of God, please don't fuck this up.
I mean, let's talk about the subs. I mean, Jacob Brown, I think he started, probably deserved to start, but he didn't do much at all in the game. Ali came on and didn't really threaten the goal, but did hold up the ball a bit better. I was thinking to possibly bring Nordes. Nelson, you know, when he comes on, he'll keep it tidy, and he's coming for Walsh, and Walsh has done nothing wrong since he's been back in the team. Well, he stayed on the pitch. That's a good start.
He stayed on the pitch, yeah. That's a hell of a start.
Yeah. And you know, he wants to tackle, but he's kind of thinking, right, he's trying to be disciplined onto it. And he can spot pass as well. Nelson obviously is a very good user of the ball. So it comes on, plays a part. And the late sub, Elijah, I'm going to actually mention this because I said he's had a few shockers, but he came on there. So yeah, came on for the last 2 minutes. But I mean, I think you've got about 2 touches. His first touch was to get the ball ahead of the goalkeeper, which he had absolutely no right to do.
Yeah.
And his second touch, I think it not sure fell over or it was a foul. And his second touch was to give away a free kick in a completely non-threatening area in 8 seconds. So I thought both those, I think, are actually really good work.
Yeah, I mean, Bloomfield, I think, got his substitutions right on Saturday, which is something that I didn't think against Watford. I thought he got his substitutions wrong against Watford because he took off Nordes, I think, at halftime.
Nordes, Nordes, apart from the fact that Scumplash had been sent off, he wasn't.
Yes, he should have been fucking sent off. Yes, he wasn't having a great game. But my problem with it was they took off Nordes and they brought on Brown, right?
Yeah,
and then they took off Morris and brought on Ali, I think it was, which just left us no height up forward. And the way we were playing, we were trying to get the ball forward as quickly as possible. And I'm when I say no height, I mean Nordes is what, 6'3", 6'4". Morris is 6'2", 6'3", something like that. You know, like Ali and Brown are a lot shorter. They're different types of players. And I like with the way we were playing against Watford, it didn't make sense to me that he did that. You know, if you're gonna play the long balls forward like we were doing to try grab something or snatch something, then you've got to have some sort of height up there that can win aerial balls, and we just didn't.
I mean, obviously, there's another late one in that game, but we'll try and ignore that game anyway.
Yeah,
But
I know. Sorry,
against
keep bringing it up.
Against Portsmouth, we also did have a penalty appeal. Jordan Clark, I think that's one of those ones. It's marginal.
That I thought was a stone wall penalty.
I thought it was stonewall on the ground at the time. Having seen it since, it's thinking it's marginal. But I mean, Jordan Clark again does well, so goes past a couple of players. Somebody ran into him. It's one. It would have made the last few minutes a bit easier.
It's something like the Watford penalty, then, where if it's given, nothing overturns it, but if it's not giving, it's also not overturned.
The game, but since we're doing that, since the referee gave the penalties for that one, what about the one on Jones, where he took 4 players and then he got taken out by the byline?
I thought that was marginal. I thought you just did too much.
I thought it was no less marginal than their penalty.
No, the referee in the Watford game wasn't great here. Let's face it.
No.
Again, I've seen them given, and again, if it's given, I don't think you have anything there to overturn it.
Yeah. Anyway,
the thing was that the two games against Watford this season could not have been more different. Like the first game, you go into
that's
not just that though, but you go into the first game, you're not playing well. It's a local derby, it's at Kenilworth Road. I get that, okay, but the fight and the effort and just getting after absolutely fucking everything, like that was game. Like Watford didn't know how to deal with it. Just did not know how to deal in the first game. This game, there was none of that. There was no fight. There was no effort. It was just, it honestly felt like the kind of where you're sitting there and you're kind of going, let's just get this over with. Let's get back home. And we'll get ready for the games coming up that we think are more winnable. Which I don't want to talk about Saturday, but it's definitely not winnable.
No, that's not one you'd be overly confident with, is it?
No, I mean, what you got? That guy's name? Trafford hasn't let in a goal in 10 games, 11 games in the league.
I don't know. I've not looked at that side of it.
I only know about it because the American media are making tons of stuff about it, because apparently he has a bet with an American football player that if he keeps clean sheets from now until the end of the season, that the American football player will come out of retirement. And I'd love to be the team that completely nicks that, but I don't see it happening on Saturday.
No, I can't see it happening. We are not talking about the scum game anymore, by the way. I'm just going to completely ignore that.
Orders.
I'm trying to think you're right. People want to forget that. Stop it.
Yeah, you do, but you also look at it and you kind of go, you want to forget it, but you also want to look at it and go, we need to be so much better than that for the rest of these games. The one thing I do want to talk about is, and I think you feel differently to me on this.
Is this going to be more the scum game? Or
No. We're done with the scum. We're done with the scum game. I am very, very optimistic, albeit dimming by the day, that we're going to stay up.
No, I can't see it. I don't think we're crazy enough.
And everyone seems to think I'm absolutely bonkers. Like, I'll have what he's having.
I mean, that's always been the case. So
that's always been the case. But the sort of, I'll have what you're having, mate. We're 5 points from safety. We have to play Cardiff, Stoke, and Hull, who are the 3 teams we're 5 points from, all on the same amount of points. Given they're away from home, not our strength. But I honestly, I do feel we're going to stay up. Maybe, I don't know. Like, the games aren't fun to watch, don't get me wrong. And not to mention, again, with the Watford game, waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning was an absolute fucking nightmare to do. The Portsmouth game, it was at a better time, but it still wasn't great to watch. The Burnley game this weekend, I'm not looking forward to watching it. But there's an optimism inside me that says we're going to stay up.
I just don't think it's basically we're not getting any goals from our forward players. Getting the odds of set piece. I mean, even set pieces, we don't look threatening from them at the moment. So you get the 2-1. We're not getting enough goals or many goals at all from our forward players. So it's come to a midfield. So it's kind of nicking goals here and there if we're lucky, and we're always likely to sort of concede 1 or 2 through stupidity. I mean, I think it's something like that. Our expected goals is I haven't updated since the before the game, but we're 0.38 per game down expected goals scored. Which you put that over a season, that's a fair few.
That's not great. But I don't know, dude.
And equally, we're conceding more goals than expected goals said we should be conceding. Now, these things are supposed to even out over the course of the season. It's really not. It's getting worse.
Yeah, I'm still optimistic. I still say we stay up. And maybe by the skin of our teeth, but I still say we stay up. But I do want to talk to you about something. I know he's a legend in most people's eyes. Does Mick Harford need to go?
I don't think so, no. I think it's basically he is like Pelly to a certain extent as well. It's a decision. But I think Mick Harford is basically, he's been there, done it. He's been around the Civic Club. So, whether you change the roles or not, but Mick Harford needs to be part of the club as much as he wants to be.
Okay, then do you think he needs to step away from head of recruitment?
You've been reading some people, so just getting the top. Our recruitment hasn't been great. I think it had been beforehand.
It's fucking terrible.
Yeah. You're thinking, right, so he can't sort of... Mick will be sort of more old school, not recruitment. So a lot of it is now done by sort of the stats and the numbers and everything else.
Yeah.
Which is probably not where he's coming into. So he's looking then... Is one man then having to try and look oversee some of the other stuff. And if everything else is coming with, so right, here's the data, here's the stats, etc., doesn't necessarily translate.
So the board waited too long to get rid of Edwards. Seems to be a consensus. Are they waiting too long to change the recruitment?
I don't think they need to be sort of getting rid of Mick, but
no, I'm not. And I'm not talking about, like, as you said, he's a legend. Maybe move him into a different role. What is it that Alex Ferguson had at United before he was ceremoniously kicked to the curb by Ineos? It was club ambassador. I definitely think Mick Harford should be a club ambassador. Definitely. But my problem right now is our recruitment has been so bad that it is a problem. And it's a problem that I worry about because the board waited so long to make the move with Edwards because he was so liked within the club. Because he'd done so many great things for the club. Which Mick has also done. I don't want the board to have this, we need to keep him because of we need to keep him in the role that he's currently in because of who he is. And because he's such a legend at the club. They need to be ruthless. They need to be ruthless. That's the one thing. That's the one thing I will say about that is one thing I will say about this board is that they aren't. They're not ruthless. To a certain extent, they're probably too nice.
Well, they're just not the scumboard, are they? But I mean, I think the problem we get if we've had
you brought up the scum, not me. Just
it's the scumboard, not the scum game. There's a difference. No, I mean, I think the problem we've got there is which is social media plays it. So you've had blame the manager, it's all his fault. Sack the manager. Manager goes. Things actually get worse. Points per game, they actually got worse after that. I'm not saying it's the wrong decision, but thinking, okay, that's the problem. So then you think, right, is it the players? Oh, we brought a shitload of new players in as well. So it was, but yes, the players take a lot of the blame. Then people start saying, oh, what's Gary Sweet doing? And he's actually come out and sort of made the statement. So it's then move on to the board and I'm thinking, right, so what are people saying? Right, change the board as well, get a foreign investor in does not have the club at heart in any way, shape or form. No thanks. And now we're saying, right, recruitment. So should we get rid of Mick Harford? So is it just the kind of, right, we're just going to scattergun approach, try and get rid of everyone or blame everybody in the hope that somewhere along the line it would magically change, and it won't.
So here's my thing with that. Like, first off, with the manager, they waited too long to get rid of Edwards. I think that's a consensus that we all agree with. I'll be totally honest and say I don't think Bloomfield was the right choice. I'll say that on air.
Can't be, no, but he has won the Super Game, so it's thinking right.
Yeah, I don't think he was the right choice. I think we needed someone with a good degree of championship experience, and preferably a good degree of championship experience with clubs who are in the lower end of the championship and have done good things with them. I think that's what we needed to go after, and we didn't. We went for a good up and coming manager. I think Bloomfield has a lot of good traits about him, but I don't think he was the right fit for this club at this point in time. Mm-hmm. Now, in regards to the board, I've gone on record in saying that I think the board have to hold their hands up, and I believe they will, and I believe they do. That they have not covered themselves in glory. They just haven't.
And they've admitted that.
Yeah, and they haven't. They just haven't covered themselves in glory. That's why I think now more than ever, they need to take the emotion out of it and be ruthless. And I like this whole thing of bringing in a foreign owner. I don't think that necessarily has to be done. And I don't do I want another owner of the club? No, I don't. I want the current board. Like, I want them in charge. Like, they have the club at heart. They don't have one individual person or certain people. They have the club at heart. They save the club, I don't want them necessarily to go anywhere, but I think there needs to be some sort of change, either with the personnel there or with the way they're running it, to say, this is what we need to do. Yes, we know it's ruthless. Yes, we know that it won't be favorable with everyone, but in the long term, this is what we'll gain from it.
Right.
And I think we've
had two issues with the board coming through there. It's right. So the board, there was absolute management, board, recruitment. There was absolutely no issue when we're going up and we're getting promoted to the Premier League. No issue with recruitment. We did in the Premier League. There were some slight criticisms because it was suddenly, right, fans, can you behave yourself? And obviously take out some of the nasty element, which is kind of, the nasty element at home. That is what gives us our home strength. But I think from that, then expectations raised, and it was, built the expectations up way too much. And the recruitment, it was poor in the summer. Obviously, it's going to be tricky to replace Barkley. The recruitment in January, there's been okay issues, but for the money you'd spent, you wouldn't have said no. But then again, that's almost putting on your head previously, right? Spending $5 million on a player, you should be a world beater, which is actually really not much for the Championship now. So
I did a list, and I've obviously missed players here, okay? But you look at our recruitment over the last 2 years, okay? And we're going to go through it, and I know I've missed players, so you can bring up the other players that I know I've missed, and I'll give my opinion on them. But I was going through it, and it dawned on me that, I think of the list that I did, I have one meh, and then one bit per player, and the rest are just kind of all negative, to say, for the use of a better word. Like Kaminsky is a really, really good Championship goalkeeper. I feel there are certain elements of his game that I don't like, that I think a keeper will need a keeper to have to take us to the next level. But he did very admirably in the Premier League last season in a lot of games, and he's a decent goalkeeper at this level. Would you agree?
Yes. I mean, obviously, people have been criticising, right, bringing Shea, so we know his decision-making coming off the line, which, yes, some of that has been questionable, sort of a couple of times, in fact, but he is a very, very good shot stopper. So, yeah. He's been a good side.
Walters, completely out of his depth.
Walter.
Good prospect. Completely out of his depth.
I think Walters would need to be a right back and not try and shoot on him in the centre or anything else. Okay.
Hashioka. I admire the guy, I really do. I don't think he's good enough.
He's better in the air than people give him credit for, but he's not settled.
Anderson, injury prone.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. McGuinness, and I like. We're going to get into the more recent signings here, and I know there's some of them that I'm going to try to say it's too early to say, and in McGuinness, you could turn around and say it's too early to say. But with
McGuinness has been improving since he's come in. He's kind of getting closer to justifying his price tag.
Not even close. With the amount that we supposedly paid from, because nothing's ever released from the club, not good enough. Just simply not good enough.
He's also young, and I think there's a hell of a prospect in there.
If you were to sell McGuinness right now, do you think you get the money back that you paid for him?
I don't know what the money is, so I think we get exactly the same feedback. We sign for undisclosed, we send for undisclosed.
Good get out clause. Holmes, not good enough.
He was a free transfer. I think he's kind of he's another one. I'm thinking it was an odd decision loaning him out, because if he then could leave you short, he's not a top level championship player. I don't think he's really he's 24, 25, but I don't think he's going to improve that much more.
What I want you to do for the rest of these ones that I'm bringing up, okay? Don't take into account where we are currently in the table, okay? Take into account where everyone thought we would be, those top 6 places or so, okay? And then tell me if you think they're good enough or not. Christ, I think it's too early to say, considering he's only played
a game and a half. He's played a decent game and a half.
But he's played a decent game and a half, okay? So the jury's out. Giles, already gone.
Yeah.
Horrible signing, already gone.
Got money back.
Ogbene, we made a nice profit, but would have benefited us more to keep him, considering some of the problems we're having on that right hand side.
No, he got injured after a month.
He got injured with them. That would not necessarily say he would have got injured with us.
Really? Sorry, are you saying the player gets injured there, wouldn't necessarily get injured with us? Do you not know what injury
maybe he wouldn't have got injured.
Just by saying you get on the dotted line.
Injuries are freaks, you know. It's Nakamba finished, not the player he was.
He was signed to come back. I mean, I think he's been struggling with injury, and of course, he's out for 6 weeks now anyway. So everybody wants to sign him.
Walsh, liability, not good enough.
You're going
now. Remember, for the level that we wanted to be at.
I think basically we're looking at he's sort of he's made 2 very bad decisions, so he got sent off. Steve Howard also sort of was quite guilty of that a lot of the time. Walsh, I think when he gets the ball, he's tenacious. He can spot a pass, and he can deliver a pass as well.
At the top level of the Championship, bottom level of the Premier League?
Potentially, yes, if he stays on the pitch.
So. We disagree.
And it's free transfer.
Baptiste. And I'm going to be extremely harsh here, I know. Modern day Danny Spiller.
That is very harsh, because Baptiste at least has played a few minutes on the pitch and got injured, rather than actually faked his whole medical before going through there, injected cortisone, and then sort of, laugh at everything else. Baptiste is trying at least. And I'd just like to point out, if anyone wants to sue, Danny Spiller wants to sue it, that's Gav Daly, it's America, so go over there, shot by Trump, it's fine.
Apparently he faked his own medical. There we go, we're good now.
But no, he's I think Baptiste is a lower Premier League quality player when fit, which he never is, which is why we signed him. But this is it's ridiculous.
Fanny, too early to tell.
Yeah.
Asgard, probably too early to tell, but given the games that we've seen so far, I think he's a little bit out of his depth.
I think he was very, very good about Sheffield United. I think he's not been quite as good since, but I think Sheffield United has sprung onto it. He does have a very good record in League One, though.
That'll be great for next season. Chong, you know what I'm going to say. Inconsistent.
Oh, you hate
not inconsistent as in, he's a bottom Premier League top championship level. No, he's inconsistent as in there's days he looks like he could play for a top 10 side in the Premier League, and there's days where I would not put him into the top 10 side in the National League. He is far too inconsistent. Like, just it's mind-blowing.
I think was a big good start.
Mind-blowing. Lassie and Jones, Nordas, whatever you call him, and Jones, too early to tell. Was not impressed with Nordas in the Watford game. But again, he's come to terms with a new league and a new environment. Jones, too early to tell, but I have been impressed with some of the stuff that Jones has did.
Mm.
Brown, bit purpler. At best, he's a bit purpler. And I've gone on record on this show saying that I like Brown. Like, I think Brown's one of them players you can keep, and I think he's fine with coming from the bench every now and again and being an impact sub sort of thing. But I don't think he's anything more than that.
He's basically he's a runner. He's someone who'll run around all day, but he's not doesn't. Well, actually, none of our forwards give a threat at the moment. So
Moses, complete waste of a wage.
Moses, I think the first couple of games he looks like he could add something, and the one against Stoke, but I don't understand why he's still at the club. I think we've got to January, we need to offload some players. So you've got a choice. Moses, presumably his contract's up at the end of the season. He's not getting the squad, or offload Pelly, who would be getting on the bench and so possibly some games as well. Who knows? So
who have I missed? Ali. Ali's one of the new signs. I think it's too early to say, but I'm not convinced by him either. Who else was there? Who else did we bring?
You could have said, but I mean, Krul's only signed as backup anyway, so experience backup.
Yeah, experience backup. That I've no real problems with that. I'd like if he was our number one, it'd be a different story, but it's not. I know it's only a lower loan, but what's that guy from Forest that we got? Bowler. Like, what has he done? Why did we even bring him in on loan? And I think this is what a lot of people have.
I think we bought someone on loan because we're looking to play sort of,
yes. And now that's completely gone out the window.
Yeah. And I think it's Bloomfield's apologised for him. They said, look, we signed you basically for this position. I think you're doing it. And then we've changed formation, and this formation seems to suit us better.
Yeah. It's, horrible recruitment. But yeah, like, I can you think of anyone else?
Sure,
and obviously within the last 2 years, and I didn't include Barkley because he's left the club. We made a nice, like Ogbene, we made a decent profit. And I didn't include Lokonga because he was alone last season. He was never going to stay. Obviously those two players were head and shoulders above anything else that we have at the club.
Yeah, so they were decent signings for last season. So
yeah, but the recruitment at the club, going through that list, would you agree with me and say it's horrendous?
Well, we have missed out. I mean, we've basically used some players for the summer from the previous and the Premier League ones, and not some of the others. So I think you probably need to focus on this season, not the Premier League season, because we've obviously discounted the ones who are successful on that one. Or I think you've got to be consistent on it. This summer's recruitment hasn't been good enough.
I would like, yes, just take away the players that we signed last season for the Premier League. I mean, you knew you had to improve in midfield because you lost Barkley, and your answer was Walsh.
Well, you're never going to improve Ross Barkley, are you?
No, but you know what I mean. You've got to replace him. You've got to replace him and Lokonga, who are both leaving the club. And your response to that is Walsh, who is a liability and possibly not good enough. Batiste, who, as you said, is never fit.
Yeah.
You know? Yes, we brought in Fanny in January, and I get that.
And Bloomfield doesn't like Fanny, by the looks of it.
You were dying. You were dying to get that joke in. Like, I could just see the eyes just lighting up. Oh my god. But yeah, the recruitment's been horrible, dude. It's been really, really bad, and that's why I asked. Like, this board has to get ruthless, dude. It has to get ruthless. It can't keep doing this. Like, it just can't. Like, what are we going to do next season if we are in League One? Buy players from the Championship who played 10 games and were injured for the rest, but they have championship qualities. Like, we can't keep doing this.
You can do one or two. Like, I mean, sort of Reece Burt, I know he played quite a few consecutive games last season as well. I'll be honest with you, we can't right now. We cannot get signings wrong. You cannot get the amount of signings that you made wrong. You just can't. Not at this level. You can basically afford one or two injury-prone but better than their level players. I think that's what you can really afford into a squad. So here's the ones I give them a pass on. The first one being Giles.
because they brought in Giles thinking that he was maybe a little bit better than Doughty, and we could probably even use Doughty at right back. Okay. He came in, didn't work, he struggled, he got homesick, whatever it was, and the club said, look, we're going to do the right thing by the player here. We're going to let you move on. Because we have Alfie there anyway. You know?
I think it's more so we'll do the right thing by the player and get our money back and most of it where we can.
Yeah. So I give them a pass for that because, I mean, as someone who's dealt with homesickness, it's a real thing. And like people can joke about it as much as they want, but it's a real thing. And I know England isn't that big of a country, but it's still a very real thing. And the other one I give them a pass on is, I don't think there is another one. I talked about
Peter Conga,
Mengi. I give them a pass on Mengi because I don't ever think Mengi was supposed to come in and play straight away. And here, like, I didn't put Mengi on this list, okay? Mengi, when fit, is our best defender.
Well, I'd say Burke's our best player. When fit's our best defender.
Burke's our best ball playing defender, I would say. Mengi, I think, is our best overall defender. That's just my view.
And Lockyer is our most important defender, so it depends which way you put it.
Okay, I know it's not happening, right? But as optimistic as I am about us staying up, if we had locks in this team, I'd be even more optimistic.
Mm-hmm.
We are dying on our feet for nothing against Morris, nothing against Carlton. We are dying on our feet for a real leader.
Probably the wrong choice of phrase given the player we're talking about here.
Yeah, I know. I just thought of that. But look, everyone's gonna know what I meant.
Yeah.
It's the most glaring hole in that team is that we do not have
we need someone to shout and organise and
leader. Yeah. And here's the thing, like, here's something that I've never ever liked. And we do it a lot, and we've done it a lot this season. If you're 2-3-4-0 up in a game and you decide to take off your captain, that's all well and good. You're saving players and you're limiting players. But if you're still in games or you're still fighting for games, which has been a lot of case this season with us, you're fighting for points and you're taking off your captain. I don't like that. And that's like, I don't think Morris should be our captain.
That's because we have a striker as your captain.
And that's because we have a striker as a captain. Yes. And Morris works hard for the team. Don't get me wrong. He does. But
your captain should generally be a midfielder or a defender. I would say be my general rule on that.
Yeah. And I mean, I wouldn't, like, I can't remember what game it was, but they gave the captaincy to Naismith on one of the games that Morris was out. I'm not totally against that. I'm not. I think if you're looking for someone close to Lockyer, probably as close you're going to get. But I don't think he's on that same level as Lockyer as a leader.
And also with Naismith, he's a lone player.
He's a lone player, yeah.
So it's
not ideal.
I think few people said they've maybe done deals for him to be permanent this summer. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, we'll wrap it up there because
we've gone far too long. We have,
yeah.
Sweet out. Gary Sweet out.
Just because he never gave you an interview.
I couldn't care less. I like Gary Sweet.
You're supposed to say that after you stop recording.
Oh, I know. Sorry. I'll just cut it out at that point. Right. I think we won't talk after Burnley because what's the fucking point?
Exactly.
And then the game after that is Jesus. It's so bad I don't even know our fixture list.
Well, let's just say we'll talk when we can both be asked.
We'll talk after. So it looks like it'll be Burnley, Cardiff, Middlesbrough, and then there's a break before we'll talk. I think it's an international break, so that's a perfect time to talk, and we'll wrap up them 3 games.
Well, it depends what goes on those 3 games.
By that point, we'll either be totally fucking down because we'll have lost to Cardiff and Middlesbrough, or we'll be safe because we'll have beaten Cardiff and Middlesbrough.
Yeah,
notice how I'm not mentioning Burnley.
Well, yeah, that's just a right game anyway, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. See you in 2 weeks, Nick. Hopefully we're celebrating.